Very good morning to you all. I welcome you all for the first session of the day, which is delivered by our keynote speaker, Dr. E. Germany. Dr. E. Germany is leader HOD for Mechanical Engineering Program at the Faculty of Engineering, Swinburne University of Technology, Malaysia campus. He received his Doctor of Philosophy from University Malaysia, Sarawak. He recently completed his graduate certificate in learning and teaching at Swinburne University of Technology, Melbourne, Australia. His research interest involves polymer matrix composites, energy and environment sustainability, and thermofluids. Member of the Institution of Mechanical Engineers, Chartered Engineer C. Engineer M.I. MEC UK. Life member in the Indian Society for Technical Education ISTE. Registered as a graduate engineer in mechanical engineering with Board of Engineers Malaysia BEM. Now I would like to hand over the talk to Dr. E. Germany. Please, sir.
Now, sir, you can share your screen.
Okay, sir. Is it clear, sir? Is it clear, Prof?
Yeah, it is clear. Now you can make it full screen.
Okay, I made it already.
Fine, fine. It's absolutely fine.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Kuldeep Saxena and then Prachi for your nice introduction. I am Dr. Ilamaran Jayamani, Discipline Leader, Mechanical Engineering, Swinburne University of Technology, Sarawak Campus, Kuching, Malaysia. It is an Australian university branch campus located in Malaysia. Today, I would like to share my research as well as what are the recent developments on materials as well as manufacturing. And that's what my topic says, development of sustainable materials and manufacturing. These are the presentation outline. I'm going to cover some introduction, what is meant by material science and engineering, classification of materials, what is meant by sustainable materials. Like I'm going to discuss on few case studies based upon my research in Swinburne, Sarawak. And then I'm going to talk about what is meant by sustainable manufacturing, and then evolution of sustainable manufacturing, what is meant by industrial ecology, and going to do conclusion. Introduction. Currently, everyone know the term climate change, because we know that climate change is the buzzword for every researchers throughout the world. How we are going to overcome this climate change? What are the causes of climate change? We know that climate change causes flood, drought, storm, and heat waves. At the same time, sea level rise, and then altered crop growth, and then disturbed water system. We are facing lot of issues based upon climate change. We know what are the causes of climate change. The main cause of climate change is human emissions of greenhouse gases, that is carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and others. So, how to avoid a release of these greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide? You can look at the graph here. That is global greenhouse gas emission estimated in 1990 to 2050. It shows that the power sector plays an important role. The second one is transportation. Third one is manufacturing. Fourth one is building. And fifth one is industry. By looking at this first point, the power sector, because still the world depends on fossil fuel. We are getting electricity by converting, that is a form of heat energy into mechanical work. How we are getting heat energy means by means of burning coal or other fossil fuels like petrol, diesel. What happened during the burning process, either it's a coal or it's a petrol or it's a diesel, there is a lot of CO2 emission to the atmosphere. That is the greenhouse gases. Due to that, we are facing lot of issues, that is called climate change. Most of the cases, we know that what is meant by ozone layer depletion, because we are receiving lot of sun rays directly because of this ozone layer depletion. So the major cause of this global warming due to climate change. So in my presentation as an engineer, how we can do development in materials as well as manufacturing so that we can reduce the amount of CO2 emission. That is the main aim and objective of this particular talk, because we want to develop sustainable materials and manufacturing techniques so that we can able to reduce the amount of CO2 emission. That is the main focus of this particular topic. What is material science and engineering? Before I go to what is sustainable materials, just I want to touch up some of the fundamentals about materials engineering and manufacturing. Basically, materials, we know the definition, something tangible that goes into makeup and physical object. For example, we are using handphone, we are using computer, we are using laptop, we are using iPad. All our day-to-day examples, we are using air conditioning, we are using washing machine, we are using refrigerator. All the equipments made of something. Even you can take our cloth, it's maybe made of cotton, it's made of some polymer fibers. We can take our watch, you can hold our ring. Whatever, in our day-to-day life, it is something tangible that goes into makeup. That is called material. And then what material science exactly says? Material science investigates the relationship between structure and properties of material. Basically, as an engineer, everyone knows that what is meant by material, what are the types of material. Like example, metal, and then we got ceramic, and then we got polymers, and then we got composites. These are the fundamental materials. Metal is a monolithic. For example, everybody knows what is meant by aluminum, what is meant by copper, what is stainless steel, what is iron. So that these are the metal. We know ceramics, we are using in our day-to-day life lot of ceramics, tiles and other things. We are using lot of polymers our day-to-day life. But what is the material science says means it investigates the relationship between structure and properties of materials. But what is material engineering? There are two major concepts. Some research is going on material science, some research going on materials engineering. Material engineering is nothing but designing or engineering the structure so that they can able to perform particular duty. Say example, I want to use a iPad. The iPad life maybe is 4 years or 5 years, depends upon the properties. Say example, I'm making an automobile car engine. Okay, what is the life of the engine? So material engineer focusing on making a product by using materials. Material science dealing about study of relationship between structure and properties of material. What is structure? We know that structure of a material usually relates on arrangements of internal components, molecules. As an engineers, we come across in our first year study simple cubic, body-centered cubic, face-centered cubic, hexagonal closed pack, and these are the various atomic arrangement of materials. That is called structure. Depends upon the structure, we can get what is called property. Property, we know that we got lot mechanical property, electrical property, thermal property, magnetic, optical, and then deteriorative. So that each and every material, just now I told you that metals, ceramics, polymers, and composite, each and every got its own characteristics. That is called distinguished feature. So that we can able to get particular properties. How it is in general, how to relate its relationship among four components. You can look at here. This is processing, structure, properties, and performance. Basically, what is processing? Processing, we are taking metals from the earth crust, that is ore. Ore available from the earth. Like mining process, they do the mining, they got a ore. Ore by means of refining process, we are converting into iron. From iron, we are making it to steel. Sometimes we make it directly like copper ore, and then we can get whatever the titanium directly from the earth crust. That's called processing. From the ore into pure metal. And then when do the processing by means of cooling process, because we are going to heat the raw material, going to melt by using furnace. From the furnace, when it can cool down, the structure will form. Depends upon the rate of cooling, we can able to get different structure. Okay, it's maybe like body-centered cubic, hexagonal closed pack, or face-centered cubic, whatever. That is called structure. Depends upon the structure, property will be there. Some properties may be mechanical property. You can take example, metals are high strength, highly electrical conductivity, highly thermal conductivity. But come to the polymer, polymers are, it's amorphous polymer. Okay, so that their property is not equal to metals, because polymers are mostly going as an insulators, at the same time low temperature application, and then depends upon performance. So what I want to say here, whatever the metal, either metal, ceramic, polymer or composite, these are the 4 important steps to keep in mind. How we are going to process depends upon the process structure of a material, depends upon the structure properties of a material, properties, finally performance. As a customer, we want performance. Say example, we are buying a new car, okay, we are buying a new motorcycle, or we are buying any new fridge or new washing machine or new air conditioning. As a customer, our focus is on performance, but the material scientists as well as material engineers, they do the remaining part. They do the process, they study the structure, they will bring them particular properties. That is the relationship between processing, structure and performance. What are the classification of materials based upon different state? Just now I told you that metals, ceramics, polymers and composite. You can see that based on state, that is phase, we know that we got a phase means solid, liquid and gas. The metals can be categorized into gas, liquid as well as solid. Mostly what we are showing is a solid, that is a material, but gas and liquid also acting as a materials nowadays. Based on structure or arrangement of atoms and molecules, materials are either crystalline, amorphous or quasi-crystalline. That is based upon structure. Because even you can take polymers, some polymers are crystalline, some polymers are amorphous. When you can come to metals, metal is completely crystalline. So what I want to say here, based upon the structure, we can categorize material into different classes, either crystalline, amorphous or quasi-crystalline. Based on structure, we can classify material into metals, semi-metals, semiconductors and then insulators. And then based on size of the entity, we can say it's a nanocrystalline or nano-quasi-crystalline. These are the general classification of materials. Mostly we got engineering materials. Whenever come to engineering materials, these are the 4 classes: metals, ceramics, polymers and then composite. In terms of representation, let us see the engineering materials. We can say monolithic metals like metals and metallic alloys, ceramics and ceramic alloys and glasses, polymers and elastomers. Even polymers, we know there are 2 categories, that is thermoplastic, thermoset as well as elastomers. And then look at the another thing is a hybrid. There are 2 categories, monolithic and then hybrid. That comes in the category of composite materials. Currently a lot of research going on composites. What the composite says, have 2 or more solid components. Usually one is matrix and another one is reinforcement. That is a composite. Composites again we can classify into metal matrix composite, polymer matrix composites and then ceramic matrix composites. That is the composite classes. Based upon the basic metal, we can classify them into metal matrix, polymer matrix and then ceramic matrix. And then sandwich structure, we know that we eat the sandwiches, have a material on the surface, 1 or more sides of core metal. Maybe core metal is soft and then outer layer is very hard. Sometimes outer layer is soft, core is hard. Whatever depends upon our requirement, we can make a sandwich structure. And then lattice. You can see lattice structures, typically a combination of material and space, metallic or ceramic forms and then aerogels. These all material we can do man-made, that is whatever demand. For example, composite, whatever property we want, we can do according to that. Sandwich, what we need, do according to that. Lattice and then segment. These are the fundamental materials. But currently there is a materials as well, that is called biomaterials, a special class of materials which are compatible with the body of the human tissues. It comes under the category of certain metals, certain ceramics as well as certain polymers used as biomaterials. For example, a bone plate. When we met any accident, the doctors orthopedic, they do surgery and then they put some plate inside our body. That plate is called as biomaterial, especially is made for bioengineering. These are the comparison of properties. Mainly materials engineer beats need properties, because material engineer is the only person going to make a component so that our customers, we are going to satisfy the performance. So The properties important are density, stiffness, strength, and then resistance to fracture. You can look at this, all the things, metals, ceramics, polymers, or composites are there. Here the composites indicates synthetic fiber, that is glass fiber reinforced composites, or it may be carbon fiber reinforced composites, and then wood is also natural composite material. But currently a lot of research going on based upon natural fibers reinforced composite materials, because composite material with synthetic fibers got lot of environmental issues as well as it got lot of human health issues. So that what I want to say here, density wise metal is higher but composites are lower, but due to that what happened, composites are light in weight. Okay, whenever density is low means composites are light in weight. That is what currently in aircraft industry, that is aircraft construction, nearly 30 to 40% already they replaced by composite materials because of the weight reduction. Even automobile engines, currently the car interiors made by using composite materials for the weight reduction purpose. Once weight is reduced, automatically it reduces fuel consumption. And then when come to strength wise, you can look at the graph here, metals as well as composites, strength wise mostly equal now. Composites got less density, but strength wise it is equal to metal. The meaning will be high strength, lightweight. Currently all our researchers need high strength as well as lightweight material. That's what composite may satisfy this purpose. And then finally resistance to fracture, metals, ceramics, polymers, and then composite. What I want to say from this particular slide means, even though we got monolithic materials like metals and ceramics and polymers, currently there is a lot of research going on with the composite materials. This composite, either it's maybe based upon synthetic fibers or it's maybe based upon natural fiber. In general, what is the goal of materials science and engineering is to design materials with a certain set of properties which give certain desired performance. So generally, whenever we can say about the branch, material science and engineering means material science engineers will do the property and performance, the engineer will go for the product. Okay, the properties depends upon processing technique. Whenever we can say here processing technique, we know that different kinds of fabrication, by using casting, by using forming, or by using machining, we can able to do that. In case of polymers means by means of extrusion or by means of injection molding or by means of compression molding, we can able to make a product. So the processing technique and then structures are very important for material science and engineering. We can do the product like bridge, truss, and then bolt, and then component like gear wheel, battery, computer chips, and filament of light bulb. So that the material science and engineering is an important topic. Based upon material development only, there is an evolution of human being. Even you can look at the pre-industrial era, the technologies are less. What I'm saying means you can talk about 2 to 3 decades before or 50 years before, there is a lack of materials development, so that we got less amount of technology. Currently we are developing lot of materials so that we can able to do many kind of technology advancements. Until this clear, Prof, can I continue now? Is it clear everything?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Okay,
one thing you can do, because by mistake some participants has done this particular
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
So at the top of your screen there is again a toolbar, and on that toolbar there is a more option.
Yeah, I can see now. What can I do, Prof?
So in more option there is a command stop annotating this by participants. Stop.
Annotate is there.
Yes.
I can click the annotate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop annotating.
Stamp, reformat, redo, clear, is it? Yeah,
I think
cleared
by yes, it is clear. It is clear.
I
Fine,
cleared
fine,
it. How to stop that? That cannot stop, I think, is it?
You can stop it from the
Okay.
more option. From the more option, you can do that.
Okay, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Okay.
I'll continue now.
Yeah, please. All the participants are requested, please don't do such kind of silly activities. It's not look so professional.
No problem, Professor. I will continue.
No, you can
Okay.
do that from that more option which is given on that top of your screen toolbar.
Okay, sure, definitely I'll do, Prof. Okay, now, what is meant by sustainable materials? Because until now we got some idea, essence of what is meant by material science and engineering, what are the fundamental materials existing. But how to go for sustainable materials? Because at this present era, we need to go for sustainable materials. Materials are sustainable if they do not stain the environment. That is, it cannot do any stain to the environment. Means that materials are called as sustainable materials. Basically, do not stain the environment means it cannot pollute air, it cannot pollute water, it cannot pollute land. If you do that, then it is called as sustainable materials. Sustainable materials is a buzzword in many industries, and they can create fewer and long-term environmental problems and lead to healthier planet. So each and every one, we need to have sustainable materials so that we won't do any pollutions on with respect to water, with respect to land, with respect to air pollution. So that materials are called as sustainable materials. At the same time, sustainability, whether in materials, energy practice, means a limited negative impact on natural resources and people. Because sometimes whenever you can use some kind of synthetic materials, it gives health issues to the human being due to inhalation. So that we need to avoid those materials. And then they avoid depleting or degrading the environment. Those materials are called as sustainable materials. For example, wood, bamboo and other plant-based materials are sustainable because they are grown naturally. Aluminium, copper and other metals recycle indefinitely. So that what I want to say here, as a material scientist or as a material engineer, we need to focus on to develop sustainable materials. Why means whenever you can develop sustainable materials, we are going to do some product based upon the material. So that what happens, the entire product life cycle, it not giving any strain to the environment. The meaning will be it not polluting to the environment in terms of air pollution, in terms of water pollution, or in terms of land pollution. Currently, due to technology development, as a human, we are facing the problem is called as sound pollution also. So, by developing sustainable materials, we can overcome these type of issues. What is sustainable development, and then how it is a journey? You can look at in global society in 2005, it's unsustainable. Okay. Due to unsustainability, what has happened? Inequality, much poverty left, threat of decreasing quality of life. Because of the polluted planet, the people facing this type of issue. But we can overcome these things by sustainable development. You can see a future sustainable society. Why we need to go for sustainable society? You can see basic needs and life quality provided, tolerable inequality, living with the earth limits. So that we need to go for what is towards sustainable development. What is sustainability? Every engineers know that it's a common term. What is sustainability? Sustainable development is a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. For example, at the moment, I'm using coal, I'm using metals, okay, whatever things available. Current generation using all the natural resources. But what sustainability says means we need to use these resources for ourselves. At the same time, we have to keep all these resources for our coming generation. For example, our son, my son, and then grandson, whatever. So that concept is called sustainability. At the same time, sustainability focus on three pillars. One is people, another one is planet, another one is profit. That's a three P's. Planet, people, and then profit. Usually what the companies will do, companies will focus more on economic performance. The company forget about environment as well as social. So this sustainability concept integrates these three concepts. That's what they say here. This concept suggests that in addition to its economic performance, a company must also account for and focus on its environmental and social performance to be truly sustainable. because currently the companies or industries focusing only their economic performance, that is profit, but never bother about what is they are giving to the environment as well as society. For example, you can take a leather industry. The leather industries are based only on profit, but the waste of the leather industry is going to the river or sea. At the same time, during processing, the leather industries use lot of smoke and other things that is not good for human health. So any industries, they have to focus all three factors: economic, environment, as well as social. If they do like that, then the company is going towards sustainability. What is a new approach? Sustainable development is not about doing things we are doing now, but doing them less bad. Be clear, everyone. Sustainability means we are doing something now, but what we are doing currently. For example, electricity. We are basically based upon still fossil fuel. Whenever we can get electricity, indirectly we are polluting. That is giving greenhouse gases, CO2 to the atmosphere. But instead of that, we can go for solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy. We have a lot of renewable energies. If you do that, that makes less bad. It is about designing or producing products we need for a growing, prosperous society that are actually good. Whatever we want to go for it, we need to use those resources to future. That is called sustainable approach. Be clear, whatever currently we are doing is polluting our planet still, but hereafter we have to go towards sustainable approach, developing sustainable materials as well as manufacturing technique. And engineers of 21st century, because currently engineers, we are teaching for engineering students what exactly they want to follow. You can look at that term. Individual engineers should understand their personal ethics and values, because each and every person, that's what we in our curriculum we got a subject called ethics. Apart from this, each and everybody got their own ethics. We need to follow according to that. Whether we are working in an industry or we can working in an academic institution, we are following professional ethics as well. As an engineers, we need to demonstrate the following areas. You can see and demonstrate of what sustainability means. First of all, we need to understand what is meant by sustainability. Demonstrates to work towards this aim. How to develop sustainability in our culture. Demonstrate that relate their wider social, environmental, and economic responsibilities. The meaning will be, as an engineers, we have to be responsible for the development of the company in terms of economic. At the same time, as engineer, we are responsible for the environment. As an engineers, we are responsible for the people surrounding us. So each and every engineer, when started to work as a personal ethics, we need to follow these three important factors in our mind. That's what encourage and enable others to learn all these factors. Not only we know what is sustainability, at the same time we need to teach to others what is meant by sustainability, what is meant by sustainable materials, what is meant by sustainable manufacturing, how it influences our day-to-day life, what are the benefits of doing sustainable development. I'm going to share some of the projects in Swinburne University. It's done by some of the masters and then PhD students about composites for sound absorbing materials. What exactly the sound absorbing materials, we'll see one by one now. Primary problem currently noise pollution. We know what are the causes for the noise pollution. Due to population growth, lot of transport, that is the one important noise pollution, because the transport increases in terms of land or in terms of air or in terms of sea, that is noise pollution. At the same time, lot of industrial revolution, lot of industries. We got now industry 4.0. So due to industrial development, lot of machineries that creates sound, that is a noise pollution. What is the problem? For example, I'm sitting at home, I hear a lot of sound. What is the problem for that? How to solve it? See that raw materials and synthetic fibers are sound absorbing materials. Before it was synthetic fiber based. That is, we can use asbestos to absorb the sound. And then we can use carbon fiber. We may use glass fiber. Those fibers can absorb the sound so that it will be get absorbed. But what is the secondary problem means raw wood short in supply, because due to urbanization, mostly forest becomes now deforestation due to development of cities. At the same time, synthetic fibers are not environmental friendly. So that the person, he did a research on that how to use lignocellulosic fiber reinforced polymer matrix composite. The meaning will be by using natural fibers and polymers, he developed some of the composite materials. Those materials can able to absorb the sound so that it can replace raw wood as well as synthetic fiber for sound absorption. We know that what is meant by natural fiber composites. Natural fiber composite means the combination of polymers as a matrix material along with the reinforcement called natural fibers. This combination behave as a natural fiber composite. And these are the fibers, natural fibers available, that is plant fibers. These are different categories like bast fibers, leaf fibers, seed fibers, fruit fibers, and then wood fiber. For example, we know the seed fiber like cotton, kapok, and coir. And leaf fibers like pineapple, banana, sisal. These are the leaf fibers. And then bast fibers, we have flax and hemp. Each and every natural fiber got its own property differences as well as advantage as well as disadvantage. Along with plant fibers, we are going to mix with the matrix, that is a polymer. There are three categories: thermosetting plastics, thermoplastic, as well as natural rubber. Okay, these combinations can make us natural fiber reinforced polymer matrix composites. We know what is the category of thermoplastic as well as thermoset. We can able to do recycling, that is thermoset. We can't do recycling, that is called thermoset. You can see by classification we can do, there are again a sub classification, partially biodegradable as well as completely biodegradable. Even though we are mixing polymer with a natural fiber, some polymers are not environmental friendly. Okay, some polymers are still gives some a bad thing to the environment. So we have to go for either we want to choose partially biodegradable or completely biodegradable. For example, what is the completely biodegradable means? It 100% is degraded in the earth surface. See example, biofiber, natural biopolymer. Biofiber is a starch, plastic by using soya plastic. These are the examples for completely biodegradable. Even polylactic acid, it's naturally derived product. Polylactic acid or PHA, we can use as a completely biodegradable. Partially biodegradable, we can use polypropylene, polyvinyl chloride, that is PVC, or we can go for epoxy, vinyl esters. These are partially biodegradable. The meaning will be the natural fibers will degradation takes place, but polymers can't. These are called as partially biodegradable. So what I want to say here, even though we are saying like natural fiber composite materials, we cannot say it is 100% environmental friendly. Some combinations are completely biodegradable. It is acceptable to the earth surface, but some still not completely biodegradable. That's called partially biodegradable polymer matrix composite materials. You can look at this one, the properties of lignocellulosic fiber. Why I want to say this means, currently the strength wise natural fiber composite materials are equivalent to metals. How the polymers are getting strength? How these composite materials are getting strength? For example, crystalline cellulose is higher in strength. Hemicellulose, thermal degradation. Lignin. You may wonder one thing, what is the meaning of hemicellulose, lignin? These are the properties of natural fiber. You can look at this graph. Cellulose here, hemicellulose, lignin, pectin, wax and ash and moisture. These are the content in any natural fiber. You can look at these are the various natural fibers and then chemical composition. Any natural fiber contains these important components: cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin, and then pectin. Okay. For example, you can say hemp, coir, pineapple depends upon the natural fiber. The percentage may vary. So, even for example, the natural fibers higher strength compared with the in form of bulk form. What I want to say means, in terms of filament, it is high in strength. For example, thread. You can take example thread. Sometimes a thread will cut our fingers because threads, even though it is a very thin, but it is sharp enough. It is high strength because thread is made of cotton. When you can put you want to cut the thread, it's not possible by using your fingers because sometimes fingers will get hurted because of the strength of cotton thread. Similarly, natural fibers also got higher strength compared with other materials. That's what the properties of composites equal to the strength of metals. The methodology we adopted in Swinburne here, the selection of materials based upon fiber. Here in Malaysia, we got like rice straw. It's an agricultural product. It's considered to be agricultural waste. We are going for reuse this agricultural waste. And then loofah is one kind of fiber. Oil palm empty fruit bunch, because we know that Malaysia is the exporters of oil palm. So that oil palm trees are a lot. This is considered to be the oil palm waste. And then sisal and betel nut. These natural fibers go for surface treatment because we know that natural fibers growing in nature, it may got lot of impurities, it got lot of waxy substances, so that we need to remove it from the surface so that we can use physical treatment or chemical treatment. Most probably currently many researchers are using chemical treatment by using different chemicals like alkaline treatment, sodium hydroxide. They can go for saline treatment, they go for acetylation treatment. There is a lot of treatments are available. By means of physical treatment, they can use heat treatment by heating the fiber in oven. These are the surface treatment before the fiber mixed with the polymers. When it comes to polymer, as I told before, we got two categories. One is completely biodegradable. Example, zinc is completely biodegradable. Polylactic is completely biodegradable. Partially degradable like polypropylene, epoxy, and unsaturated polyester. You can mix these two. Fabrication. These are the combinations are possible. Rice straw, stem polypropylene composite, sisal polylactic composite, oil palm empty fruit bunch, zen composites. We can do the combination by using hot press machine. There are two methods. We can do that by using hot compression or by using cold compression, or you may use extrusion machine, or we can go for injection molding machine to prepare the composite samples. Once the composite samples are ready, we can do testing and then we do characterization. Testing in our lab we did like sound absorption test because our main focus of research is sound absorption of composite materials, and then mechanical properties like tensile strength, what is flexural strength, what is impact, and what is meant by thermal stability. Those things we did, and then dielectric, that is conductivity of or insulating properties of the materials. We did some testing on this according to ASTM standard. At the same time, we did characterization by using thermal stability, Fourier transform infrared, and then scanning electron microscopy. All the test and the characterization takes place based upon ASTM standard, and then our results are concluded, and then we publish papers based upon this particular research. These are the fabrication steps, how we used. For simple example, I can show you how we prepare for the composite by using compression molding machine. It's a rice straw. This is polypropylene. Put it in the mold. Okay, you can make it proper mixing by using mixing chamber, and then it gives a hot press machine. You can set the temperature because we know the melting point of PP like 160 to 170 degrees centigrade. At the same time, we need to give some pressure. Okay, after that, you can set pressure and temperature. We can get the board like this. By using CNC milling machine, you can cut according to whatever the shape you want. This is the samples for sound absorption test. Apart from the sound absorption, we can go for impact test like this. We can go for dielectric test. There are different molds are available. All the molds are made based upon ASTM standard. And then these are the testing and characterization. We did sound absorption coefficient, mechanical properties, dielectric properties, thermal stability, FTIR, as well as scanning electron microscopy. We used these equipments to do that. For example, 2 microphone transfer function impedance tube method. It is our own equipment is available in Swinburne University Sarawak campus, that is Malaysia, to observe the sound absorption ability of a material. At the same time, we got a universal testing machine according to the standard so that we can able to do all the tensile and flexural samples. And then we got a HP impedance analyzer to do dielectric properties testing. And then we got thermal stability by using TGA. And then we got spectroscopy to measure FTIR as well as scanning electron microscopy. These are the simple microscopic view, what we did in our research. You can look at the scanning electron microscopy. You can able to see 3 different views because of the natural fiber. You can look at the first one. This is loofah fiber. You can see the loofah fiber. There is a lot of hole inside. These are the holes useful for sound absorption, because the concept is whenever the sound hit on the natural fiber, it will goes inside the hole. Whenever it goes, the sound can able to hit here and there, so that sound energy converted to heat energy. That's what sound get absorbed. So that what we found means With the different natural fibers, the ability of sound absorption may differ because of the size of lumen structure. You can look at the lumen structure of here, hollow lumen structure of loofah, hollow lumen structure of betel nut fiber, and then hollow lumen structure of rice straw. What it shows means each and every fiber got its own structure so that they can able to absorb sound in a different way, different levels. That's what we found it in our research. Each and every fiber got its own lumen structure. Depends upon the lumen structure, sound absorption ability of the materials may differ. These are the scanning electron microscopic image. We know that why we need to go for surface treatments, because bonding. Naturally, polymers are hydrophobic, and then natural fibers are hydrophilic. That is, one will absorb moisture, polymer won't absorb moisture. When we can combine polymer and fiber, it may create some debonding. That's what we identified by using scanning electron microscopy. You can look at this sketch. This is a natural fiber. This is a polymer. You can look at here. This is natural fiber. This is a polymer. Here you can see this is polymer. This part is the natural fibers. So by using treatment, we can able to make proper bonding between polymer and then natural fibers. That's what we identified by using scanning electron microscopy. This images shows that how the influence of treatment by using chemical treatment, or by using physical treatment, or by using mechanical treatment, we can able to remove the surface impurities from the surface. You can see the untreated fiber got some patches, that is a waxy substance or other dirt and impurities that was removed after chemical treatment. These are the natural fibers along in the polymer structures. These are the characteristics we studied in our research. We did some testing as well as characterization so that we can able to understand properly what is happening in the polymer and then natural fiber combination. We found that by increasing the weight percentage of natural fiber, you can look at the graph, sound absorption coefficient with respect to frequency, that is 20%, 15%, and then 25%. Whenever the percentage of fiber increases, the content of fiber increase in the polymer, they can able to absorb more sound. That's what we found it in our research. That is also the important is the fiber distribution. You can look at here the fiber distribution, how the different fibers distributed in the polymer matrix. Depends upon the fiber distribution, the amount of sound absorption also changes to the combination. This is the research based upon sound absorption ability of composite materials. And next research is done by one of the master student. He graduated already. Composite bone plate materials and their recent developments. Okay, here the term composite bone plate materials. Basically, we want to know what is exactly bioengineering. You can see bioengineering refers to an engineering approach towards solving problems in repair and reconstruction of lost, damaged, and diseased tissues. For example, I got a fracture in my leg. I got fracture in my hand. So that what happened, doctors will do the surgery, orthopedic do that surgery, and then they put some man-made material. It's maybe titanium or stainless steel. That is called bioengineering because it's a kind of engineering branch focusing on biomedical applications of engineering concept. Okay, they develop lot of materials for our human tissues replacement. At the same time, they develop lot of instruments, equipments. Even for the current COVID-19 situation, as an audience, we can listening lot of equipments for face shielding example. You can see currently, mostly the frontliners are using face shielding because that is the one of the bioengineering. Because of the demand, the bioengineers, they developed some equipment, some protective equipment, PPE, for the frontliners. That considered to be a bioengineering. Those materials are called as biomaterials. These biomaterials may be like metal, ceramic, or polymers again. Because those materials suitable for biomedical application, then it is called as biomedical. From that concept only, our student here in Swinburne Sarawak, he developed bone plate material. That's what I'm going to share now. What is the purpose they can go for? It means used to direct, supplement, or replace the functions of living tissues of the human body. Sometimes you can use or replace directly. Even example, you can take toothache. We want to remove some tooth, we can go for artificial. Okay, even we know that currently they are using artificial knee. because currently the technology development advance in bioengineering, we can replace most of our human body. Even we can replace artificial heart now. All the developments due to bioengineering. These are the example. What are the components to be replaced? For example, you can see joint replacement, hip and knee. We can go for titanium, aluminum, vanadium alloy, or stainless steel and polyethylene. You can see bone plate for fracture fixation, stainless steel and Gopal chromium. Currently, we are mostly aware because common for accident, so we can go for bone plate. And then bone cement, polymeth methacrylate, bony defect repair, hydroxyapatite. So that what it indicates means for skeletal system, cardiovascular system, organs as well as senses, we can have a material to replace it. For example, you can see organs, artificial heart made by using polyurethane, skin repair template by using silicone collagen composite. What I want to say here from this particular slide, due to the advancement in technology in bioengineering, we can replace any part of our human body by using some artificial material, some bioengineering materials. That's what I want to say here. Now, bone fracture, because we have our focus will be on bone plate. So what happened? The fracture takes place. You can look at the thing: simple fracture, commuted fracture, and open fracture. Whenever the fractures will happen, usually what happened? The orthopedic they do go for operation. There are two types of operations are there. One is called internal fixation. Another one is called as external fixation. Okay. To fix that one, we need a device called bone plate. You can see a bone plate is a surgical tool that is used to assist in healing process of bone fracture. For example, if fracture takes place in hand or leg, whatever, we use bone plates to assist for healing. It supports indirectly, so that the bone plates are there. The fractured bones will first be reset surgically to its proper position. The bone plates will then be screwed into the fractured bone. You can look at this one. This is called internal fixation. Screw inside takes place. This is external fixation, because sometimes doctors will fix the device inside our muscles. Sometimes they do for outside. That's called internal and then external fixation. These are the sketches shows the bone plate. These are the bone plates. These bone plates are currently made of titanium, or it's made of stainless steel, or it's made of any other biomaterials. But what is happening? There is an issue with the conventional material. You can look at the term mechanical properties of hard tissues. For example, cortical bone in terms of megapascal 17.7, tensile strength 133. In case I want to replace this cortical bone, means you can see metal. I am using stainless steel, means 190 gigapascal or 586 tensile strength. Look at the problem. If I got a fracture, okay, it's a hard tissue. I want only tensile strength of 133. Tensile strength 133 megapascal. But doctor put stainless steel bone plate in my body. That strength is 586 megapascal. The meaning will be the tensile strength wise is not matching. At the moment, we are using titanium, we are using stainless steel bone plate, but our bone needs only 33 megapascal, but doctors put 586 megapascal. There's a problem. This problem is called as stress shielding. You can see the use of titanium and steel bone plates to fix the fractured limbs can create problem due to stress shielding, bone reabsorption such as subsequent fracture. What happened? I exactly need 133 megapascal to support my bone, but doctor put 586. Due to that, the problem is different stress level that causes stress shielding problem. So what researchers are doing means researchers are focusing on polymers. You can look at this one, mechanical properties of typical polymers like polyethylene, polyurethane. We have a lot of polymers, tensile strength which is nearly equal to the bone needs. So that the researchers did some research. At the same time, Swinburne University, we did some research by braided carbon fiber reinforced polymer polyether ketone composite materials that can replace titanium as well as stainless steel. Apart from this, there is a coating available. Hydroxyapatite coating on polymer composite substrate have been investigated for their bioactivity and their physiochemical and mechanical characteristics. Because sometimes Even though we can put polymer matrix composites in our body, it won't match with our human tissues, because so that what happen after the bone plate made by using polymer matrix composite, we need to go for coating at the outer surface. That's called hydroxyapatite coating, so that this coating will match with the human tissues. Sometimes you may hear the things after operation, the patients may feel some pain, especially during cold conditions. If there is a rain, means those patients got inside their leg or inside the hand with the titanium or stainless steel bone plate, they feel kind of pain because the mismatching of the stress as well as mismatching of the tissues. So that these researchers will help the researchers to develop composite bone plates based upon polymer matrix composites. And then third example I'm going to share, dielectric properties of fibers reinforced polymer composites, because this is also done by one of our PhD student. He graduated already. How to develop dielectric materials. I want to explain first of all what is dielectric so that you can understand the concept clearly. The primary problem, the dielectric material. Dielectric materials are nothing but insulators or capacitors. Mostly we know that insulators and capacitors are most commonly used in all our electronics equipment. You can take your computer, or you can take your laptop or iPad, or even you take your mobile phone, hand phone, smartphone, cellular phone. Everything got insulated capacity inside. Mostly in olden days, that is a few decades before, traditionally dielectric materials are made from inorganic substances made of silica and then mica. But what happened? The mica and silicon dioxide consumes a lot of heat energy, because to make the ceramic is not easy. Ceramic have high melting point, so I need to give a lot of electrical energy to melt the metal. That is a drawback with the mica and silicon dioxide. So what happened? Researchers have developed a new material, polymers. Polymers are gaining wider dielectric materials, but there is a drawback in polymer also, because polymers are weak in mechanical strength. They are not good in mechanical strength. At the same time, polymers will expand due to thermal expansion, because polymers are mostly limited with the temperature. We cannot go beyond temperature of 200 something. So polymers got drawback. So in our research, we synchronize these two properties. That is synergism properties. Natural fibers reinforce polymer matrix composites. We developed dielectric materials made of natural fibers reinforced polymer matrix composites. These are the fibers we used, like loofah, sisal, betel nut, and then rice straw. We used different polymers like unsaturated polyester, polypropylene, epoxy, and then polylactic acid. This is the device, compression molding machine. It's available in Swinburne, Sarawak, Malaysia. And then we got the mold according to ASTM standard. We prepared the sample by using hot compression. You can see example, temperature, pressure, and then holding time. That is heating time. A high density polyethylene and then polylactic acid. We can got samples like this. This is a contact type electrode device to measure the dielectric. We got the device also in Swinburne, Sarawak to measure the dielectric properties, so that we developed a new composite materials that can replace ceramic based capacitors as well as polymer based capacitors. That's what this is the device to measure it. The dielectric properties of the composite specimens were measured with an HP impedance analyzer, that is LCR meter. We need to prepare the sample of 50 mm diameter and thickness of 5 mm so that it can fit with the conducting type here. We can able to measure dielectric properties. These are the graph. It shows that whenever the fiber content, like 10 weight percentage, 20, 30, and 40, 35, whenever fiber weight percent increases, dielectric constant also high. That is ability to break down strength also higher this particular computation. From this, what I want to say, even by using polymers and natural fibers, we can able to develop dielectric materials that is used in electronics and circuits in most of the electrical and electronic devices. These are the other researchers done on dielectric materials. Their properties also equivalent to what we developed. Now, I want to say what are the recent developments, because this topic is more on the development of materials and manufacturing, so that I got some surveys, some research. These are the recently developed 7 new materials. Just I want to share, maybe some of you know before. There is a first material called wood sponge. The greener way to clean up oceans to absorb oil and water, because recently also we are facing a lot of issue. The oil will be spread over the sea. Okay, so how to extract oil from the sea? By using wood sponge, this completely green product. And then the strongest biomaterial from the spider silk, because we are talking about natural fibers, because spider silk is also one kind of material that is hardest ever. That's what they say. Stronger than steel and it's biodegradable. Okay, look at stronger than steel and it's biodegradable. The meaning will be, when you can produce a steel, it gives lot of pollution to the water, land as well as air, because steel mills go for refining process. But when you can use this type of natural fiber like spider silk, it's completely biodegradable. That is higher in strength. Next one is self-healing material. These materials can able to take carbon from the atmosphere, because currently many researchers doing research on self-healing materials, because we know that what is the purpose of tree doing. The trees usually take carbon dioxide and then they do for the process and then they release the oxygen, because that is why we need to go for a lot of plantation of trees, because tree makes us green. It takes carbon dioxide with it and releases oxygen. Similarly, there is a new material. This material can absorb carbon from the atmosphere. Currently, many research going on self-healing material. You can see a material that can absorb carbon from the atmosphere as an obvious advantage when we consider its ecological impact. Because currently researchers are working on self-healing polymer-based material so that it will completely benefit the environment, so that we can able to reduce the amount of carbon footprint. And then platinum gold alloy. This is the high wear resistant material. You can see matching diamond in wear resistant. It is made up of combination of gold and platinum. The resultant material is 100 times more wear resistant than high strength steel. You can look at this combination, because as engineers we know what is meant by alloy. Alloy means we are combining more than one or two materials together in the atomic level so that we can get this thing. This combination platinum gold alloy 100 times more wear resistant than high strength steel. And then silicon X for a battery application. This battery can able to get 3 to 6 times better than graphite batteries currently we are using. You can look at batteries developed with silicon X will have 3 to 6 times the capacity of graphite batteries that we use currently. And then there is another development, sixth one, recyclable plastic, because everyone know that recyclable, but it is called recycle indefinitely. The meaning will be without losing its property, we can recycle infinite number of times. That's called infinitely recycled plastic. Even though we can do recycling of thermoplastic, but each and every time it loses its property. But this particular research, this particular material, we can do indefinitely, any number of times, but it don't lose its property. That is called recyclable plastics. Lastly, glass coating that can block sunlight, because currently due to development we got lot of high-rise buildings. All the high-rise buildings, there is no cement wall, all made by using glass wall. So this particular coating, glass coating, it won't allow the sunrise to come inside. You can see a new type of coating developed by scientists at RMIT Australia can solve all that, is can regulate the glass transparency by itself by using vanadium oxide. Okay, these are the coating developed by RMIT scientists in Australia to overcome the issues of sunlight. So that these are the 7 new materials invented recently that could change our lives, because some of the materials are still under investigation, still under research, some is under already in the application to our day-to-day life. So that why I'm sharing this material is, as an engineers, we have to go for what are the new kind of materials. Still we are focusing on metal, ceramics, polymers and composite. Go beyond. Even though it is a base material, even though we cannot deny this is needed, because still for structural application we need metals. For non-structural application we can go for composite materials. So these are the recent developments in materials for the coming generation. Now I want to talk about what is sustainable manufacturing, because until now we saw what is meant by sustainable material. In generally, sustainable material means material during its development, during its mining process, until it gets fabricated, it won't give any pollution to the atmosphere. Be clear what is meaning, what is the meaning of sustainable material means those metal during its process, during its fabrication, or during its it won't give any harm to the atmosphere. Those materials are called as sustainable materials. But now I'm going to talk about what is meant by sustainable manufacturing. How we are going to manufacture, how we are going to produce component without giving any harm to the atmosphere. Usually, as an engineers, we know what is the term manufacturing. Manufacturing in simple term, converting raw material into finished product. That is, manufacturing means converting raw material into finished product. That is called manufacturing. So during the process of converting raw material into finished product, we cannot pollute the atmosphere, either in terms of air, water, land. So that is called as sustainable manufacturing. You can see the definition: a systematic approach to eliminating waste by optimizing use and selection of resources and technologies, thereby lessening the impact to the environment. You can see a systematic approach of eliminating waste. We need to first of all eliminate the waste by optimizing the use and selection of resources, because what is the use and selection of resources means raw materials. We have to choose proper raw material as well as technologies to convert it. What are the machines? What are the elements? What are the energy? If we do that, that is called sustainable manufacturing. Sustainable manufacturing focus on how the product is made as well as product attributes. That is characteristic of the particular product. How to do that? For example, making products using less energy and materials, producing less waste, using fewer hazardous materials, recyclability, or using lower energy. If you do that, that is called sustainable manufacturing. That is, the definition says sustainable manufacturing practices can range from very simple process improvements to large investment in new technologies and product redesign. That's called sustainable manufacturing. In generally, what we can understand means we need to focus on manufacturing technique. By doing that, we can't do the pollution to the atmosphere. That is called sustainable manufacturing. Professor, it is very clear. Can I continue? Is clear everything until now?
Yes, sir. Everything is clear till now. No issue. Audio and video both are clear.
Okay, but then I'll continue.
We are lacking with time.
Okay, Prof. I'll make it faster. Yeah. Need of sustainable manufacturing. Sustainable manufacturing. Why we need to go for sustainable manufacturing means customers are environmental conscious these days, because each and everyone from the school level we are teaching our kids about environmental sustainability, so that everyone knows about the importance of environment. Environmental protection is the top agenda for everyone. Reasons for environmental care is increasing day by day. At the same time, running out of fossil fuel supply, because we are lagging in the petrol, lagging in diesel, because unavailable is running out. The problem of global warming, average earth temperature increases day by day, and then depletion of ozone layer. We are getting lot of summer temperatures, loss of trees and forests due to urbanization. So sustainable manufacturing is a challenge for today, but business opportunities for tomorrow. These are the environment manufacturing three links. We can do that. The intersection of environment manufacturing discussed in three different ways. One is sustainable manufacturing, clean technologies, as well as green product. What is clean technologies we are going to means? Clean or environmental technologies or technology associated with things like pollution control and prevention, waste management, remediation of contaminated property, and then environmental protection. For example, clean technology means we can use renewable energy like solar, wind, tidal. Those energies are involved during the production. For example, the manufacturing industry uses solar energy. Then it is considered to be that particular industry uses clean technologies. Some industries going for waste management. Some industries focusing on pollution control and prevention. Those are called as clean technologies. Examples of clean technology include like wastewater treatment, recycling, solid waste management, and then solar panels and wind turbines. Green product. A green product can be any product that is designed to reduce its environmental impact. So example, I am saying that green product means those product is designed to reduce the environmental impact. The key components of environmental concern is we need to, from the beginning, so that whenever I want to start a product, from the design itself, I need to focus on the product to be greener. At the same time, The product may be made by using recycled materials, or it may be made by using hazardous materials. Those products are called as green products. In general, green product means, say example, I got watch. If the watch is made without polluting the environment, at the same time the watch is made by using recycled material, or the watch is made with less hazardous chemicals, then this watch considered to be the green product. That's what the companies are having the term eco labeling, because currently even you can see that a lot of products come with the eco labeling, so that we can understand this green product. How to implement? There are various ways to implement it, but it's not, there are 5 steps to implement it. I'll show one by one. Sustainability is a journey, not a destination. Keep in mind always. We cannot make it zero waste. There is a waste, but it should be very less. You can see. Remember, there is no such thing as company with no environmental impact. There is no sustainability destination. Our goal should be continuous improvement. We try to reduce the environmental impact. That is called sustainability is a journey, not a destination. Because without any waste, we cannot produce any product. Whenever you can convert raw material into finished product, of course some waste is generated. We cannot deny that. But that waste we need to minimize it. That is why sustainability is a journey, not a destination. Evolution of sustainable manufacturing. For many years, decades, there is a concept called pollution control and treatment, but currently our technology towards cleaner production. For example, 30 to 40 years before, industries will develop some product, but they pollute the atmosphere. They try to avoid the pollution giving out to the environment, but currently the attention shifted to cleaner production. The meaning will be pollution prevention. From the beginning itself, we are focusing on each and everything. Say example, I want to make a watch, means how this watch, what is the material of the watch, okay, what is the manufacturing technique of the watch, how it's going to affect the atmosphere. So each and every step currently we are focusing, that is called cleaner production. But 30 to 40 years before, not like that. They follow pollution control and treatment. End of pipe pollution abatement, like wastewater treatment, air scrubbers and filters. Even still, some of the thermal power plant based upon pollution control and treatment. They are doing water treatment, they are doing air scrubbers like that to filter the airs like that. But we need to move towards cleaner production. That's called industrial ecology. Industry is not a single entity. You can see the definition. The study of the physical, chemical and biological interrelations and the interactions between the industry and then ecological system. The meaning will be, industry is not a separate entity. Industry is linked with the society. Industry is linked with the environment. So whatever we are doing in the industry, it affects the land, it affects the water, it affects the air. So that concept is called as industrial ecology. It is based on system thinking. Industry is an interdependent part of the overall ecosystem. So industrial ecology, before it was linear system. In the linear system, source, resources, production, consumption and then waste. But currently industry going towards closed loop, that is resources, production, consumption and then production and then recycling. That's called eco-industrial park. Be clear, in olden days, that is 30 to 40 years before, industries follows a linear system, but currently following to the closed loop system. They are reusing, recycling the product. That's called industrial eco park. Thus your company produces byproducts that could be used as another company. Say example, I have one running a company, I got some byproduct. This byproduct may be used by the other company. If you do that, that is called industrial eco park. How to implement sustainable manufacturing? We can implement by using 5 important steps. Housekeeping is the first step. Process optimization, raw material substitution, new technologies and then new product design. If we implement all these things, we can go for sustainable manufacturing. Housekeeping. First of all, housekeeping is the simplest method of implementing sustainable manufacturing practice. For example, better inventory management, better monitoring and scheduling of the production process, reducing loss from the leak, spillage and drain out, or you are educating your employees about sustainable manufacturing. That is the first step, housekeeping. Housekeeping means simple, very fundamental first step towards sustainable manufacturing. Process optimization, we may involve optimize various parameters like Process optimization involves changing your manufacturing process to minimum waste, conserve raw materials, and capture and reuse waste materials. If you found there is a loss of weight, you can reuse it. For example, you can see maybe you can collect metal savings for recycling. For example, in machining industry, by using lathe machine or milling machine or drilling machine, lot of metal savings will come. So you can go for recycling. If you do that, that is called process optimization. Or you can change the process. You can change the steps in painting process to use less paint or rearrange your machines to minimize movement. These are the process optimization. Raw material substitution. You can go for greener materials instead of hazardous material. Use water-based solvents rather than chemical solvents, because chemical solvents harmful to the environment. So you can go for water-based solvents. If you do that, raw material substitution, meaning will be you can go for green materials or sustainable materials so that we can go for sustainable manufacturing. New technologies, you can by using renewable energy technologies or those technologies it uses less amount of energy and it's more effective for the production, you can go for it. For example, you can see utilizing new technologies involve incorporating more environmental possible technologies and equipment into your production process. You can go for greener manufacturing sequence, greener technologies. You can use solar, wind, tidal. These are the various renewable technologies or energies available. You can use in our production sequence. New product design is very important. From the beginning itself, we need to go for product design so that we can able to get the greener product. Design your product to be greener from the ground up, from the initial stage, from the scratch, so that we can get the green product. It can include redesign involving rethinking, using recycled materials instead of new ones, using renewable materials, designing for easy disassembly and recycling, less packaging. If you do that, that is called new product design. Relationship between lean and green, because previously like 20 to 30 years before, lean manufacturing means the lean manufacturing focuses on only the waste reduction. Your company already use lean manufacturing practice. Okay, lean means it's mainly focuses on eliminating the waste. But now we can include the green inside so that we can improve the performance. You can see the green supplies network calls this lean and green manufacturing. GSN found that companies could save up to 30% or more by implementing lean and clean than it can implemented by lean manufacturing alone. Understand? Lean manufacturing means those manufacturing focuses only on reducing the waste. But the green manufacturing and clean manufacturing means we need to reduce the waste, at the same time we need to focus on the environment. What are the ways we can do that? You can see environmental waste. What is meant by any unnecessary use of resources or substances released into the air, water or land that could harm human health or environment. That is called environmental waste. Any unnecessary use of resources, that is the first point. We cannot use unnecessarily any resources or substances released to the air, water and land that would harm the human health. That is called environmental waste. Lean focuses only on this particular point. Any energy, water or other materials used that are more than what is really needed to meet the customer needs. Hazardous materials and substances, pollutants, residents, these are the examples of environmental waste. Now, adding clean to the lean manufacturing, according to lean waste, defective products or component, but defective products also made by using some material, we are using some energy. You can see energy and materials are consumed to make defective products, and the defective products need to be disposed of. According to lean manufacturing, defective products is a simple concept, but according to environmental impact, because even though it's a defective product, it consumes some energy. It is made by using some material that's considered to be disposed of to the environment. That is a pollution. Overproduction of components or final product. According to lean, overproduction is a simple concept, but according to the environmental impact factor, materials and energy are consumed to make unnecessary products. Products may spoil or become obsolete. Products may require hazardous material. Weighting. Materials may spoil, become damaged, downtime waste of energy of heating, cooling and then lighting. Say example, customer wants only 1000 product. You made it 10,000 product. I need to keep the remaining 9,000. I need to keep it for a storeroom. I need to go for heating, ventilation, air conditioning. That is a waste of money as well as energy. That is the environmental point of view. And then unnecessary transport or motion. Energy is used for transport and production sequence. So we have to go for proper motion control. Okay, that's called unnecessary transport or motion. Excess inventory. We cannot keep the resources before it want. Say example, I want only 1,000 raw materials. I cannot keep it for 10,000. That is excess inventory is also lost. Extra processing. If processing is unnecessary, increased waste and energy use, consumers more parts and raw materials. These are the main difference between lean waste as well as environmental impact. Because lean is a waste, but it gives some environmental impact that is unwanted. If you do that, that is called sustainable manufacturing. By concluding this session, this sustainable materials and manufacturing enables economic progress, minimizes pollution and waste, to support future generations by attending sustainability by means of preserving natural resources. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for attending this session. I'm ready for taking a few questions. I will be available on it. Thanks everyone. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jayamani. Really, it was a very informative session, because we all are working in the domain of either in mechanical engineering or metallurgical engineering, but rarely we are thinking about the sustainability of the materials. So recycling of the materials and this maintaining the environment clean, it is also a very great concern, not only for the India, it's globally. So a lot of information you have delivered. So now the house is open for the question answer session. Along with that, I am also launching the poll question so that we can save some time. So first of all, the poll question is, okay. I'm just launching the poll question in a minute. Dr. P. Prabhakar Rao, your mic has been unmuted. Please ask your question.
So, good afternoon, sir. Dr. Jayamani, it's a very nice presentation, sir. Myself, Dr. Prabhakar from KITS Warangal, it's a Telangana in India. Yeah, sir.
Good morning, Professor. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Various fiber reinforced natural composite. Is it possible for particulate reinforced engineering work is done on particulates reinforcing natural composite?
Yeah, that is a good question, because currently some of our final year research project, that is undergraduate students doing final year research project, they're going for collection of a lot of plastic waste, and then they crush the plastic waste, and then they use the particles for fabricating it.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a research already completed, but still we are doing some characterization. Once the result is that, we can try to publish that. That is possible, Prof.
Yeah, sir. Can you enlighten how to prepare these test specimen? You have any standard test specimen? How they made?
Yeah, actually, for all the testing, we followed according to ASTM standard.
Okay.
ASTM standards are available in internet. Sometimes ASTM standard we need to pay to get the standards. Otherwise, no problem. You can get my email ID so that I can send you all the ASTM standards to you. Because we need to first of all prepare the mold according to ASTM standard.
Yeah.
We need to go through the standard. Again, we need to make a drawing, and then all the drawings followed by whatever the thickness they want, what are the dimensions they want, and then we give it to the technicians. Technician will do the fabrication by using aluminum or stainless steel mold. And once the mold is ready according to ASTM standard, so that we can start preparing your samples, then it follows according to standard.
So, last question, sir. Actually, if you prepare this material in a standard mold,
yeah,
then you take in the material from that mold, and it will show different property. If you pour those material in a standard test specimen mold,
yeah,
there may be some differences. Then how to just minimize those, sir, because of that difference.
Yeah, because the problem is, say example, I made a tensile specimen according to ASTM standard.
Yeah.
The mold cavity will be very small. For example, I will show you. Currently, I can share my screen. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
you can look at this one. This is the mold for dielectric test.
Okay.
You can look at the mold here. It is made according to ASTM standard. The problem is here whether we have to follow in terms of weight fraction or volume fraction.
volume.
Okay, so that once we fix the density, the maximum the fiber it can take is like 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, like maximum 10 or 12. This is the one way. But another way of making is you can make a board like this.
Yeah.
You can make a board like this. You can make a board like this. This one. You can make a board like this and then cut by using CNC.
Yeah.
That is possible. Here you can increase the fiber fraction like 10, 15, 20, 30 until 30 is also possible.
Yeah.
But the drawback is by when you can cut the CNC, the fiber surface will be exposed to the atmosphere. It can start absorbing moisture. So that you have to go for conditioning of the specimen before testing.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you. Thanks for the question.
So, sir, first of all, I want to know that how much time you have so that we can accommodate that limited number of questions.
Maybe you can limit yourself, sir, because currently the time in Malaysia is 3 p.m. So that I can take 5 minutes, I think is sufficient.
Okay. Prahlad Pesode, please go ahead with your question.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, you are talking about the stress shielding effect. So, due to misproperty of cortical bone and the metal, so there
Exactly.
is stress shielding effect is there. So, you are suggesting the polymer. In some cases, it is not desirable to use the polymer. So, in such cases, how to minimize this stress shielding effect in titanium or titanium alloy?
Yeah. Thanks for your question, Prof. I'll answer now. For example, you can see the properties of the polymer. Here, the properties of the polymer, for example, I am using a polyethylene or polyurethane. Tensile strength is only 35, is it? But you can add some natural fibers. Natural fibers are higher strength compared with the polymer. So, when the combination of polymer and natural fiber, so that this property is equivalent to the properties of the natural form. Say example, I want 133 megapascal means I cannot get it only by using pure polymer alone. I need to mix the polymer along with the natural fibers so that I can able to get 133 megapascal. It may solve the problem of stress shielding. Got it, Prof?
Okay. And one more question, sir. You are talking about the hydroxyapatite coating. So,
Yeah.
how to do that coating? Which method will be beneficial to do the hydroxyapatite coating?
Hydroxyapatite coating is the dipping method is the very simple method to do that because depends upon the facility available in your institution or university. You can go for hydroxyapatite coating. But in our case, we made it like a solvent dipping. We made a composite materials and dip inside and then keep it, soak it for a particular time period is there, and then we can took it out.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, one announcement is here. We will launch the poll question in the evening session. Both the poll question will be launched in the evening session due to some technical issue because I have logged in two machines. So that's why it is difficult to launch the poll question right now. So we'll launch the poll question of this session also in the second session. Okay, moving towards the next question. Yashwant Yadav, please go ahead with your question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, as you mentioned in the PPT that about the bioplan implants
Yeah.
by using biomaterials as bioimplants.
Yeah.
So, sir, first technique which comes in our mind as we talk about the bioimplants is FDM or the 3D printing or additive manufacturing technique.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is, sir, what other alternative techniques can be used to prepare these bioimplants?
Yeah, because currently at the moment what we did is we are not done the additive manufacturing because we have 3D printing facilities, but my research only focusing on fabrication of composite materials. That's what I restricted fabrication techniques by using compression molding machine, extrusion machine, and then injection molding machine. And there are possibilities are there. Maybe you can make this bone plate by using 3D printing because currently many researchers are doing on that as well. That is possible.
Okay, so means these bioimplants can be made by compression molding even.
Yeah, can.
Okay.
Definitely can, yeah.
Okay, sir. I have one more question, sir. While fabricating the polymer composites, these polymers can be available in the form of fibers, either in the form of granules or either in the form of flakes.
Yeah,
So, sir, which form should be preferred for getting the better mechanical strength and easy processing of these polymeric biomaterials?
yeah, that's a very good question because these are the problems we faced before.
Yeah.
Because polymers sometimes available in the terms of pellets, some polymers available in the form of powder. If
Yes,
you are
sir.
using a machine like extrusion or injection molding machine, whatever the form, it's a perfect because the polymer and fibers mix properly whenever you are using extrusion machine or injection molding machine. But when to come to compression molding machine, because compression molding machine mixing we need to do by using mixing machine, that is melt mixer. But sometimes the melt mixer cannot mix properly with the polymer and then natural fiber. So what is my advice? You can use either pellet form or powder form or the fibers in terms of different sizes, but depends upon the method, that is machine. Either you're using injection molding or extrusion or compression, depends upon that you can get the correct product.
So, what form will be the best if we are using the compression molding? Actually, in my lab, I have a compression molding machine. So,
Yeah.
which form should I go for ahead with?
You have a melt mixing machine with you or no? You are only mixing manually the polymer and
Manually.
fiber?
I am mixing manually, sir.
Yeah, if of course you are mixing manually by using a polymer and natural fiber means, and there are polymers will be at one side, there are natural fibers on other side. The mixing, you cannot get proper mixing. That
Yes,
is
sir.
the problem, I think, is it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the problem we underwent also. And then we bought it melt mixing machine. What is the melt mixing machine? It's like a grinder. It
Yes,
will
sir.
melt the polymer at the same time to melt the fiber, so that once the melt is ready, so you can transfer this melt mixing into the mold and then you can compress it. That is the easiest way.
Okay. Okay, sir. Apart from melt mixing, can we also use, sir, this single or twin screw extruder machine?
Yeah, you can use extrusion coding. That is perfect. Yeah. Otherwise, you can do one thing because this also we did trial. First of all, by using extrusion machine, you can get in terms of sheets. Okay.
Yes,
You can
sir.
get sheets in terms of like this. You can get the sheets because actually depends upon your mold shape in the extrusion machine. You can get the sheet like this, continuous sheet. So you can cut the continuous sheet and then put it in the mold in the compression molding machine and then compress it. That is also easiest way you can do it.
Okay, okay, okay.
Because
So,
this is the one we tried in our university. First extrusion followed by compression before we buy the melt mixing machine.
okay, 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 okay. Sir,
Very
one
time
last
consuming
question.
process.
Right, sir. For sir, one last question I have. Sir, can
Yes.
these polymers be mixed with metals to get any composites?
Yeah, can. Because you cannot mix a metal in more than a particular percentage because otherwise it becomes a conductor. Because currently we are making dielectric materials.
Right,
We
sir.
mix polymer and the natural fiber. That is, we are testing for the conductive dielectric properties. At the same time, we are adding some of the metal powders in it so that we are increasing the amount of conduction within the threshold limit. Yeah,
Okay, if we
possible,
want,
but you cannot mix more.
yeah, if we want conduction, for that we should prefer adding metals into that polymer, right, sir?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you. You can use copper or aluminum powder can.
Right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Prof. If any other questions, we can finish off the session, Prof.
So it seems that Prashanta is not able to ask the question. Srinivas Rao. Kuchipudi Srinivas Rao, please ask your question. I'm trying to unmute your mic, but it seems again it is muted from your side. It seems that questions has been answered. Those have raised the hands. So thank you very much, Dr. Mani Jayavani sir, for
Thank you,
being
thank
with
you,
us in this current situation. and you traveled from your house to the university just to
Yeah,
deliver,
exactly. For this session, because
deliver this
I
particular
thought of
session.
making it my iPad, but I don't want to make it. I want to make it clear, so
Correct,
that I
correct.
just
So
came. I did all the things. Yeah.
yeah. Sir, some of participants are requesting for the slide in the form of the PDF. Is it possible to Santosh Kumar? Is it possible to share?
I'm not sure. Maybe I can share with them. No problem for me. Yeah.
Okay, if you will send me a PDF file so that I can share it among the participants. Naveen Kumar, do you have any question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead with the question. It will be a last
Sir,
question for
please
the session.
share email ID of Professor Gemini.
My email ID is available. The first slide that this is my email ID. eJaimini@swinburne.edu.my. Can you see this slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is my email ID as well as my WhatsApp number. Yeah, my handphone number.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you.
So, thank you, Professor, for being with us. Finally,
Thank you.
concluding this session.
Thanks for your opportunity for giving the talk in the GLA University. Thanks you very much, Prof.
Our
Really
pleasure, sir.
appreciate your work. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all
Thank
the
you.
participants. We'll
Thanks
meet in
everyone.
the second
Thanks all the
session
participants.
at
Thanks
3:30
each and
onward.
everyone.
Yeah, fine. Okay, bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye. Take care. Bye.